He shows up at 2 a.m. sometimes, in my head, not the man he used to be, but the version of him I built out of guilt and moonlight. That's the part nobody warns you about. Not the missing him. The building. I was 23 when I moved into the apartment above hers. Rent was cheap because the pipes screamed at night, and the landlord never fixed anything unless you caught him in the stairwell and made him look at you. I caught him. He didn't fix it. So I fixed it myself, standing in her kitchen at 11 at night with a wrench too big for the job, water hissing under the sink while she held a flashlight steady and didn't say much. Margot, she told me, on the second try, like the shorter name cost her something. You don't have to do this, she said. I know. You're going to ruin your shirt. I know that too. She laughed, short and surprised, like she hadn't meant to. The flashlight dipped. My hand brushed hers reaching for it, and neither of us moved for a second longer than made sense, her fingers warm, mine wet from the pipe, both of us pretending the moment weighed nothing. It weighed something. I noticed the ring on the counter before I noticed I was noticing it. Off her finger. Sitting there like an afterthought, like a small quiet fact she hadn't decided to hide from me or hadn't decided not to. You're staring at my hand, she said, not looking up. No, I said. I'm staring at the wrench. She didn't call me a liar. She just handed the flashlight back and let her fingers stay a half-second too long against mine, like she was deciding something and hadn't finished yet. The ring wasn't the only thing sitting out of place. There was a suitcase by the door, half-zipped, like she'd started leaving and lost her nerve halfway through the decision. Long trip? I asked, because it was easier than asking the real question. Something like that. She wiped her hands on a dish towel that didn't need wiping. We're not, she stopped herself, pressed her lips together like she was rationing the sentence, deciding I hadn't earned the rest of it yet. I hadn't. I knew that. I was 23 and renting the apartment above hers and I had absolutely no business doing the math I was doing. How many years between us, how she said my name a beat slower than she said anyone else's, how her voice dropped half a register when she thought I wasn't listening for it. I was listening for it. You can stop staring at the pipe now, she said. It's fixed. Right. I hadn't noticed the dripping had stopped. I'd been noticing the way she stood with her weight on one hip, arms crossed loose instead of defensive, like she'd forgotten to protect herself around me somewhere in the last hour. She caught me looking. Didn't look away first. That was the part that undid me, the not looking away. Stay for coffee, she said, already reaching for the pot, not really asking. It's late to be climbing stairs again. I should have said I had work in the morning. I should have said a lot of things. Instead her hand landed on my forearm, light, steadying herself against the counter more than against me, or that's what I told myself. Okay, I said. 1 cup. We both knew that wasn't going to be true. 1 cup became sitting on her kitchen floor with our backs against the cabinets because the chairs, she said, make it feel like a meeting, and neither of us wanted that. The tile was cold through my jeans. She'd changed into an old sweater with a hole at the cuff, and she kept pulling her sleeve over her knuckles, then letting it go, like she couldn't decide whether to hide her hands or not. "He used to call it my ugly sweater," she said, out of nowhere. "I wore it more after that." "Petty, I know." "Not petty. Efficient." She laughed, that same surprised sound, and for a second her shoulder rested against mine, weightless, barely there, and I did the thing I told myself I wouldn't do. I stayed still so she wouldn't move it. "You're quiet," she said. "I'm thinking." "About?" "You. The suitcase. The ring on the counter. How I should go upstairs, nothing," I said. "Tired, probably." She looked at me then, really looked, the kind of look that goes on a half-second too long to be nothing, and her mouth opened like she was about to say something she'd regret. Her phone lit up on the counter. Buzzing, insistent, his name on the screen even upside down from where I sat. She didn't move to get it. "You should," I started. "I know what I should do." Her voice had an edge now, aimed somewhere past me. The buzzing stopped. Started again. I stood up, put actual distance in the room, because if I didn't I was going to say something about her hands or her sweater or the way she hadn't looked at her phone once. "I should let you take that." She caught my wrist before I reached the door. Didn't pull. Just held on. "Don't," she said. "Not yet." Her hand stayed on my wrist longer than it needed to, and I stood there letting her hold it, feeling like every nerve in my arm had relocated to that one point of contact. "Not yet what?" I said. My voice came out rougher than I meant it to. "I don't know." She let go, finally, and pressed the heel of her hand against her eye like she could push something back in that direction. "I don't know, I didn't want you to leave on that." On the phone ringing. Like that's the only thing happening in this kitchen. It's not my business what's happening in this kitchen. That's not what I asked you. That's not what I asked you. The phone had gone quiet again. The silence after it was worse than the ringing, thicker, like the room was holding its breath along with us. "Say what you're actually thinking," she said. "For once. You've been doing this thing all night where you almost say something and then you don't. You first. I asked you first." I looked at her, really looked, the way she'd looked at me on the floor, and something in my chest just gave up pretending it had a reason not to. "I think about you more than I should. That's it. That's the whole thing. I fix your sink and I think about the way you say my name and I hate how much I've been doing the math on how wrong this is." She didn't say anything. Her eyes were bright, wet at the edges, unreadable in the bad kitchen light. "Say something," I said. "I don't know if I ruined this before you even got here," she said, so quiet I almost missed it. "Ask me again. Tomorrow. When I'm not," she gestured at the suitcase, the phone, all of it. "Ask me again." I didn't ask again the next day. I didn't get the chance to. 3 days passed. 3 days of not quite eye contact on the stairwell, of hearing her voice through the floorboards on the phone with someone, of me lying awake doing that math again and again like it might come out different if I ran it enough times. Then a 4th day, and a note taped to my door in handwriting I didn't recognize as hers yet, *come down when you're free. Asterisk. She opened the door before I finished knocking. No suitcase this time. No ring on the counter either. I checked, I'm not proud of it, I checked. He came by, she said. No preamble. Yesterday. While you were at work. Something in me went very still. Okay. He wanted to know why I hadn't called back. And I told him. She crossed her arms, not defensive this time, just holding herself together. I told him there wasn't anyone else. Which was true. Is true. But I said it and it felt like a lie anyway, and I couldn't figure out why until he left. Why? Because anyone else isn't the right way to describe you. She said it fast, like ripping tape. You're not a person I'd cheat with. You're the reason I finally looked at 4 years of my life and asked why I was still living like I was waiting for it to feel different. I didn't know what to do with my hands. That's not, I didn't fix your sink to break up your engagement. I know that. Almost a laugh, watery. God, I know that. That's what made it worse. You weren't even trying. The hallway light buzzed overhead. Neither of us moved toward the door or away from it. So what happens now, I said. I don't know yet. But I didn't want you finding out from someone else that it's over. I should have said something. Instead I stood in her doorway for a long 5 seconds doing nothing, and she watched me do nothing, and something in her face started to close, that particular kind of closing, the one that means I already know how this goes. You don't have to say anything, she said. I didn't tell you to put you in a position. Margot. She stopped. I've been rehearsing this conversation in my head for a week, I said. Different versions. In the shower, on the stairs, at work when I should have been doing literally anything else. And every version, I end up saying something smart. Something that sounds good. I don't have that tonight. Okay. I'm scared this is going to look like something it isn't. Like I'm a kid who got lucky, or you're, I don't know, running from something and I'm just what was standing closest when you jumped. I've thought about that too. A lot. And I don't care anymore. I thought about it enough. I'm done doing the math. She didn't move for a second. Then she crossed the space between us. Not fast, not a movie moment, just a woman closing a distance she'd apparently also gotten tired of measuring, and put her hand flat against my chest, right over where my heart was doing something embarrassing. If we do this, she said, it's not a rebound. It's not a phase you grow out of in a year. I need you to know that before. I know. You don't, actually. Not yet. Then let me find out. She looked at me a long moment, like she was giving me one last exit. I didn't take it. Her hand slid up, curled into my shirt, and she kissed me like she'd already decided this 3 days ago and had just been waiting for me to catch up. The pipes never screamed again after that. Landlord finally sent someone, months later, almost funny in how unnecessary it had become by then. I'd already moved my things down a floor by way of 100 small trips, a coffee mug at a time, like neither of us wanted to name the moving in out loud. People had opinions. Of course they did. Her sister asked if I was a phase. My co-workers asked if I was serious, in that tone that already assumed the answer. Margot stopped explaining herself to anyone around the third month, not out of stubbornness but because she said watching me make her coffee wrong, too much sugar, every single morning, was more convincing than any argument she could make. I still think about the suitcase sometimes. Not with guilt anymore. With something closer to gratitude, which felt strange to admit even to myself. She didn't leave that night because of me. She left because she'd already stopped waiting for the marriage to feel like something worth staying in, and I just happened to be standing there, wrench in hand, when she finally said it out loud. What changed wasn't dramatic. It was smaller than that, the difference between doing math on a relationship and just living inside one. Between asking is this allowed and asking is this real. She still wears the ugly sweater. I still don't fix things right the first time. Some mornings I catch her looking at me the way she did on that kitchen floor, like she's redeciding, on purpose, every single day, and choosing the same thing again. Did you enjoy the story? I'd love to know, what kind of stories would you like to hear next?